What is going on, everybody? ZyoniK here, and in today's video we're going to be diving into teams that you guys can run for the new season of Go Battle League. These teams are going to be bringing a fresh take as there are new meta Pokemon that you guys can use. While the old meta is still strong, Pokemon like Feraligatr, Gallade, Empoleon, and Goodra are all rising to the top as good contenders for the Open Great League. So let me know down in the comments which team is your favorite, and do not forget, focus up, do not forget to put down a star piece for your end of season rewards before going into Go Battle League on the rotation, right? Star piece works with those end of season rewards. Let's go and get right into it. Now, all of these teams were put together by Inadequents from the EU Shoutcasters, myself included. So a lot of amazing trainers in here putting their thoughts and best teams to the forefront for you all to try and use on the first day of the new season. Team number 1 is going to be coming from Lundberger, bringing Shadow Empoleon, Shadow Gallade, and Annihilate. Glass Cannon. Now, Empoleon with Steel Wing, Gallade with Psycho Cut. This is very deadly, and this is reminiscent of the old days of the Ultra League Premier, where we had the Shadow Empoleon Gallade, or we had the Empoleon Gallade core, and usually with Toxicroak in the mix there too, but this time we have Annihilate, and you guys can see the coverage already. This is phenomenal. This is a very glassy team. If you like using powerful, strong Pokemon with hard-hitting charge moves, this is a team for you. Empoleon is going to be on the lead. Gallade is going to be your anchor, right? Your core, your hides in the back, and then Annihilate is your safe swap right there. Some things you're going to need to look out for, but you can totally manage, are going to be Pokemon like Serperior, Mandibuzz, and Jellicent. Also, Alolan, Shadow Alolan, Marowak as well, but Serperior is going to be pretty common. You can deal with that with the Dropack there from Empoleon, the close combats from Shadow Gallade, Annihilate, counter, and Ice Punch, and Shadow Ball. There's a lot of versatility to be had and something you can definitely achieve with this team. So that's going to be team number 1. We're starting off strong. This looks like a very fun team, one that I'm actually going to run, but unfortunately I don't have Shadow Empoleon right now, so we're going to have to get that, but we'll see what we can do. Team number 2 is going to be coming from Nighttime Clasher. This is going to be Giratina Origin, Abomasnow, and Registeel. A very, very strong lead right there on Giratina Origin. I know a lot of you don't have it. I don't have it yet. I'm hoping that my trade turns out to work out for under 1,500. But for those of you that do, this team is very dominant. It's going to be a Giratina Origin Abomasnow core with a Registeel safe swap there. Icy Wind on Abomasnow as well. It's not Shadow, so you're going to go for the Icy Wind. Coverages look really, really strong, right? Some big weaknesses that the Giratina Origin is going to have is stuff like Lickitung, but Abomasnow and Registeel can handle that. Some big weaknesses that Registeel will have, like something like Annihilate, the Giratina Origin is going to do very well in that matchup. So it's a phenomenal ABB line right here. Not a lot of weaknesses. I mean, I know these are weaknesses here, right? Litleo is going to be a tough one, but no one uses these Pokemon, right? I mean, you might run a team of Lopunny, Shadow Houndoom, and Shadow Sneasler. I don't know, but that's not common. It's not meta. You're not going to see it often. So this team definitely is strong if you guys have the Giratina Origin. Now you might be wondering, what do I use instead of Giratina Origin? It's kind of tough because that Pokemon brings something very unique to this meta. It brings the Dragon typing for the resistances to a lot of common moves in this meta, while also having Shadow Claw, Ominous Wind, and Shadow Ball. So there's really no direct one-to-one replacement. So yeah, this it's a strong team for good reason. All right, team number 3 is going to be coming from Tomahawk UK, bringing the Guzzlord Mantine core right here. Mantine is getting an update this season where Water Pulse is getting higher damage and costing less energy. We don't know how good that is going to shake out, and if you guys don't, if it turns out to be horrible still, just run the Ice Beam instead, or maybe even the Bubble Beam, but the Ice Beam could work out there. But for now, we're going to have the Water Pulse on there, and then you're going to have Shadow Feraligatr as a safe swap. This is going to be a common trend as we go through the other teams in this video. Shadow Feraligatr, everyone, is meta. It is top meta. It made it into the top 10. For those of you who don't know, let's go ahead and I'm just going to show you for reference. There it is, Shadow Feraligatr, number 9 right there. Shadow Claw, Hydro Cannon, and Ice Beam. It is phenomenal. You guys are going to see it a lot as a save swap. So we're going to be seeing a lot of double water teams this season, most likely, as the Shadow Feraligatr has a lot of good matchups. As you guys can see, the coverages is pretty strong right here. Things you need to watch out for with this team is going to be stuff like Skarmory, Mantine, Toxapex, and Dedenne. Dedenne is actually a massive core breaker, but it's obviously not super common. But overall, this is looking pretty good. I think what we're going to see as a trend this season, especially out the gate the first week, is Feraligatr safe swaps. And that is because of its moveset, Shadow Claw, Ice Beam, and Hydro Cannon. We did some deep dives yesterday into why you should be running Ice Beam or Crunch, and we found out that the Crunch really doesn't give you that extra damage. It gives you still good coverage, right, to Psychic type Pokemon, but you might as well be running the Hydro Cannon because it's going to do near similar damage, and you already have the Shadow Claw there, whereas the Ice Beam picks up grass, it picks up dragons, it picks up flyers. It's really nice to have, so we're going to be going there. We're going to be going with that moveset there. So that's team number 3. Team number 4 is going to be coming from Tho Technical. You guys know this trainer and content creator and streamer. We have Shadow Magnezone, Giratina Origin, and Poliwrath. So none of the new Pokemon coming up this season, like Empoleon, Gallade, or Feraligatr, but a good mix-up here of some spicy Pokemon, being Shadow Magnezone there on the lead. Giratina Origin is a very strong anchor, and that makes a great core as well. Magnezone very weak to stuff like Whiscash or Annihilate. Giratina Origin very strong against Whiscash and Annihilate, and the Poliwrath safe swap really rounds this out, bringing in the Icy Wind debuffs. The coverages, as well as you guys can see here, really strong against the top meta. You do have just 3 core breakers there. Flygon, Sneasler, and Manectric, all Pokemon you will probably not see. Maybe you will on the first day. First day is always a bit spicy, but this team definitely looks very strong. If you guys are, again, this is a Giratina Origin team. There's really no one-for-one swap. I know before there are some potential swap arounds with some Pokemon because they have a similar moveset and typing, but honestly Giratina Origin is very unique, so if you don't have it, maybe look forward to hopefully getting it one day, or just try one of the other teams, right? Alright, team number 5. This is going to be coming from Lionheart. We're going to be having Registeel, Hakamo'o, and Cresselia. The Hakamo'o got an interesting update this season. It already had access to Brick Break, but the Brick Break now is going to guarantee to lower the opponent's defenses, which is very interesting. And the Registeel Hakamo'o core can be very strong, especially since they somewhat cover each other's weaknesses, and Cresselia as a nice safe swap there with Future Sight as well as Grass Knot. When taking a look at the X's and O's, it looks to have phenomenal coverage right here. As you guys can see, the more X's, the better, right? That's what you always want to see because that means more coverage. Things you need to look out for on this team are going to be Pokemon like Shadow Gligar, Skeledirge, and Talonflame. Now, this is something interesting to note that I think Lionheart will agree with from the assessment of this team. You look at its weaknesses of this team, right? Gligar, Skeledirge, and Talonflame. All 3 of those are extremely weak to Water-type Pokemon. And if we take a look at the top meta here, it is all Water-type, or not all Water-type Pokemon, but a vast majority of Water-type Pokemon got buffed or are a part of the top meta. So it is going to be very rare, I think, to see fires in this meta with how many counters to it are going to be out there, especially with Feraligatr. So very unique dive in right there on his team to kind of leverage into the fires are not going to be common. Let's leverage that. So I really like that play, and something spicy with Hakamo'o and the Brick Break. All right, moving up to the next team, we have Inadequate. I'm looking at the names over here, making sure I get them lined up if you guys are wondering. I got a second screen. Inadequate is bringing Registeel, Shadow Dragonite, and Goodra. So the Shadows Dragonite and the Registeel are going to be the core of this team. Obviously, tried and true in metas that we have seen before. Shadow Dragonite in the past got access to that superpower. It is incredibly deadly and tough to deal with. And the Goodra is really nice as a safe swap in this meta because it's going to be drawing out those hard counters, especially with a Registeel lead. So you're going to be drawing out Dugongs. You're going to be drawing out maybe Azumarill. You're going to be drawing out something like a Wigglytuff. And you have access to Dragon Breath, Aqua Tail, and Power Whip. And that Power Whip, I think, is going to come in clutch this season against Pokemon like Feraligatr, Dugong, Azumarill. It's very, very nice. So it's a typical ABB formation looking to draw out the hardest counters to Shadow Dragonite and kind of soft lose or get an advantage in that mid-game matchup for your Shadow Dragonite to sweep. So, taking a look at some of the biggest weaknesses, not a lot of common ones. Gallade is going to be a common one here, which I think we're going to see be very popular early on in the season. Excadrill, you guys might be thinking, but it's too squishy, I think, for the Great League. Komodo is there, Flygon, Lucario, all stuff that are not very common. What is common is this meta right here. This is more what you guys are going to be seeing, especially as you push higher in the rankings this season. So, Inadequence's team, a Dragon ABB formation there. Really nice. Okay, moving to the next one. We have Empoleon here with Annihilate, Talonflame, and Feraligatr. So I had mentioned before that I don't think Fire Flyers or just Fires in general are going to be as popular this season, but they could come back. They could be a part of it because if there are so many waters, right, Serperior is going to look very strong in this meta, and you need a counter to that. So I wouldn't be surprised if we still see a sprinkle of Talonflames as Empoleon is looking to bring on this team. Annihilate as the lead, Talonflame as the core, and once again, a Shadow Feraligatr safe swap. Right? This is going to be the theme of this video, is Shadow Feraligatr safe swap. You guys better be prepared. Really nice coverages across the meta right here. You know, there are some Pokemon that you got to watch out for. It's mainly going to be stuff like Mantine, Mandibuzz, Jellicent, and Shadow Dragonite. Those are going to be the four most common, but you do have play into those matchups. Thinking about the charge moves, right? Ice Punch, you got Shadow Ball, you got Fly and Flame Charge, you got Hydro Cannon and Ice Beam. There's a lot of coverage to be had there still, so just because these are some losses that you see in the simulations doesn't mean there's not play with the team in Empoleon looking to bring the Talonflame. It did incredible for me last season, getting me like 200-300 elo when I decided to run it. Absolutely love that Pokemon. Very strong. All right, next team up. This one's mine. We have Guzzlord and Lantern Core with a Shadow Feraligatr safe swap. When I was taking a look at building a team around Shadow Feraligatr, I really wanted to sculpt something that leverages everything that Shadow Feraligatr can take advantage of. And with the Lantern on the back line as an anchor of this team, it's a strong Pokemon. It is meta, and I love using it. Feraligatr is going to be drawing out those grass-type Pokemon, or Pokemon that are typically weak to Guzzlord, or typically weak, I should say, or typically counter Lantern, right? And with the Guzzlord, you're going to have great resistances to a lot of those Pokemon as well. So we take a look at the X's and O's here. Pretty solid coverage across the meta. And the only things we really need to look out for is something like Abomasnow. Could be a bit troublesome, but honestly with this team, you got Dragon Tail and Dragon Claw there on the Guzzlord. You got Shadow Claw and Ice Beam on, or Hydro Cannon even, on the Feraligatr. So there's a lot of play to be had with this team. It feels very flexible, especially with the Shadow Feraligatr safe swap. And Lantern, obviously, you guys know, is tried and true as a great safe swap. And I'm betting on people trying to bring back the Serperior, back the Trevenants, and whatnot. So having a Guzzlord lead is going to be very solid to kind of draw those Pokemon out. Or even something like a Lantern, right? On the back line is going to come into that Feraligatr because we're only doing some resisted damage with the charge moves. Guzzlord, great answer to that to come in and hard farm down, and then Lantern sweep. So that was my team. I'm going to be running it this season. It looks very strong. We'll have to see if I run it on day one. I probably will. But yeah, here we go. Final team is going to be coming from Count Xevious here, and this is going to be a similar take of a Dragon Double Water, much like I ran there, and who else ran it? It was Tomahawk UK. So myself, Tomahawk UK, and Count Xevious are all running a Dragon Double Water formation with a Shadow Feraligatr safe swap. So Goodra instead on the lead. This is a different approach to the Dragon, dropping that Dark type coverage and resistances and weaknesses as well, and while picking up the Power Whip. Could prove very beneficial in this meta, having the Lantern Core and the Shadow Feraligatr safe swap. Now, as we dive into the X's and O's, things look very strong. Lickitung could be something that you have to be concerned about, but when we look at these matchups, it's something that's flexible, right? You have Dragon Breath damage and Aqua Tail spam. You have a Lantern that still does well in that matchup. Power Whip is not a one-shot. Power Whip does nowhere near a one-shot. And for Alligator as well, Shadow Claw and Hydro Cannon is going to surprise you, especially if you get ahead on energy. We take a look at what its biggest weaknesses are. It's similar to my weaknesses, which is going to be the Abomasnow. I had a little bit better coverage to Lickitung because I did run Guzzlord, which again adds that dark typing for the resistances to Lick. But similar play style. So if you don't have a Guzzlord like you've seen in a couple of these teams, try the Goodra. Give Goodra a try there on the lead. And overall, Shadow Feraligatr, I think, is the moral of the story for all of these teams. So all of these teams there's an image, I'll have a link down in the description to Inadequence's post so you guys can see it for yourselves, but these are all the teams recommended by the EU Shoutcasters, colleagues and friends of mine, very strong and incredible battlers, so be sure to give some of these teams a try if you guys want to run some of the new spicy and fun Pokemon to be had here in Go Battle League for the new season. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know which team was your favorite, which team called out to you that you gotta give it a try, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. So like always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.